Assalamualaikum, my name is Siti binti Ithnin and my partner of group Muhammad Yamin bin Muhammad Yunus. Today we want to present to you Southeast Asia Studies, which is Thailand country in ASEAN. Assalamualaikum, my name is the flag shown is Thailand country, as you can see. The flag shown is Thailand country. The background of Thailand. Thailand is located in the middle of Southeast Asia. The following countries have a direct border with Thailand, which is Myanmar. Is in the north and west of Thailand along stretch of the Mekong River divide. Thailand from Laos in the north and east, the Mekong and the mountain of Nong form the border to Cambodia in the east and Malaysia in the south. In the northeast of Thailand at the border to Laos at the Mekong River, you can find the Korat Plateau, which extends south toward the Thai border with Cambodia. The island region in the northeast of Thailand is in the one of the highest population after Bangkok, or one-third of Thai population is living here in northeast. And as you can see, this is about information about the Thailand background in the blue color. Second, here I show to you this is a map of Thailand. History. Thai history begins as a story of migrants heading into frontier land claimed by distant empires for trade, forced labor, and patronage. Eventually, country fused a national identity around language, religion, and monarchy. The king resisted colonization from the expansionist Western powers on its border only to cede their absolute grip on the country when challenged from forces within. Since the transition to a constitutional monarchy in 1932, the military predominantly rules the country with a few democratic hiccups in between. Next, political. Until 22 May 2014, the politics of Thailand were conducted within the framework of a constitutional monarchy whereby the Prime Minister is the head of government and hereditary monarch is head of state. The judiciary is independent of the executive and the legislative branches. Since the Act of 22 May 2014, the 2007 constitution was revoked, and Thailand has been under the rule of military organization called National Council for Peace and Order (NCPO), which has taken control of the national administration. The chief of the NCPO abolished the National Assembly and assumed the responsibility of the legislative branches. Next, information political of Thailand country. Thai Kingdom and the late Kingdom of Siam were under absolute rule of king after the Democratic Revolution in 1932, led by westernized bureaucrat and a tradition-oriented military. The country officially became a constitutional monarchy with a prime minister as the head of government. The first written constitution was issued. Politics became the arena of fighting factions between old and new elite bureaucrats and generals. Coups happened from time to time, often bringing the country under the rule of yet another junta. To date, Thailand has had 70 charters and constitution reflecting a high degree of political instability. However, about economic, Thailand is an emerging economy and is considered a newly industrialized country. Thailand had a 2017 GDP of 1.236 trillion on a producing power parity basis. Uh, Thailand is the second largest economy in Southeast Asia after Indonesia, which is the largest country in ASEAN, Indonesia. Thailand ranked midway in the wealth spread in Southeast Asia as the fourth richest nation according to GDP per capita after Singapore, Brunei, and Malaysia. Thailand functioned as the anchor economy for the neighboring developing economies of Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia. In the third quarter of 2014, the unemployment rate in Thailand stood at 0.84% according to Thailand's National Economic and Social Development Board (NESDB). About recent economic history, Thailand experienced the world's highest economic growth rate from 1985 to 1996, averaging 12.4% annually. In 1997, increased pressure on the baht, a year in which the economy contracted by 1.9% led to a crisis that uncovered financial sector weakness and forced the Kavalit Yongchayut administration to float the currency. Prime Minister Chavalit Yongchayut was forced to resign after his cabinet came under fire for its slow response to the economic crisis. The baht was pitched at 25 to the US dollar from 1978 to 1997. The baht reached its lowest point of 56 to the US dollar in January 1998, and the economy contracted by 10.8% that year, triggering the ASEAN financial crisis. Next, growth in 2005 and 2006 and 2007 hovered around 4 until 5% due both to the weakening of the US dollar and increasingly strong Thai currency. By March 2008, the dollar was hovering around the 33 baht mark. While taxonomics has received criticism, official economic data revealed that between 2001 and 2011, ASEAN GDP per capita more than doubled to $1,475, while over the same period, GDP in the Bangkok area increased from 7,900 to nearly $13,000. With the instability surrounding Measure 2010 forecast the GDP growth of Thailand settled at around 4 until 5% from highs of 5-7% under the previous civilian administration. Political uncertainty was identified as the primary cause of a decline in investor and consumer confidence. The next slide I will give to my panel of group, Mama Yamin.
Okay, thank you, Miss Suraya, for the presentation. Now, continue with me, Muhammad Yamin bin Muhammad Yunus. Uh, Continue from the social topic. The population of the capital city of Thailand is Bangkok. 30% of the country population live in urban areas and 35% of it live in Bangkok. That's it. The population is about 6.8 million. Thai people or Thais, also known as Siamese, are a nation that Thai ethnic group native to central Thailand, Siamese proper, part of the larger Thai ethno-linguistic group native to Southeast Asia as well as southern China and northeast India. Thai speak the Central Thai language, which is classified as part of the Thai Kadai family of language. The majority of Thais are followers of Theravada Buddhism. As a result of government policy during the 1930s and 1940s, encouraging the assimilation of all the various ethno-linguistic group in the country into the dominant Thai language and culture. The term Thai people has come to refer to the population of Thailand in general. This includes the subgroup of the Thai ethno-linguistic group such as the Northern Thai people, or known as Lana, and the Isan Lao people, as well as a non-Thai group, the largest of which is that of the ethnic Chinese. Now we move on into culture. The religion in Thailand mostly are Buddhist. Buddhist is the official religion in Thailand. Islam is the largest minority religion group at 5%, while Christian 1.2% of Thai population. As you can see below the table and the pie chart of the religion. Population. Because of the large country of Thailand, they had a population about 69 million as of 2020. Thailand's population is largely rural, concentrated in the rice-growing areas of the central, northeastern, and northern region. About 45.7% of Thailand population live in urban area as of 2010, concentrate mostly in and around the Bangkok metropolitan area. Thailand government-sponsored family planning program resulted in a dramatic decline in population growth from 3.1% in 1960 to around 0.4% today. In 1970, an average of 5.7 people lived in Thai household. At the time of the 2010 census, the average Thai household size was 3.2 people. As you can see, this is the chart of Thailand population development between 1950 to 2015. As you can see, it's growing and growing from 20,000 to 75,000 population. Now we move on to domestic issue. The biggest issue in the Thailand is the South Thailand insurgency. Is an ongoing conflict centered in the southern Thailand. It originated in 1948 as an ethnic and religious separatist insurgency in the historical Malay Patani region, made up of the three southernmost provinces of Thailand and part of a fourth, but has become more complex and increasingly violent since the early 2000s, from drug cartel, oil smuggling networks, and sometimes pirate raid. In July 2005, Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra assumed wide-ranging emergency power to deal with the southern violence, but the insurgency escalated further. On 19 September 2006, a military junta ousted Thaksin Shinawatra in a coup. The junta implemented a major policy shift by replacing Thaksin's earliest approach with a campaign to win over the hearts and minds of the insurgents. Despite little progress in the curbing the violence, the junta declared that security was improving and that peace would come to the region by 2008. By March 2008, however, the death toll surpassed 3,000. Over 6,500 people died and almost 12,000 were injured between 2004 and 2015 in formerly ethnic separatist insurgency, which has currently been taken over by hardline jihadists and pit them against both the Thai-speaking Buddhist minority and local Muslims who have a moderate approach or who support the Thai government. And here is the map of the southern part of Thailand. Mostly the place that happened is around Patani, Yala, and Narathiwat. high-profile incident, Crew C Mohd incident on 20 April 2004, more than 100 militants carried out terrorist attack against 10 police outposts across Patani, Yala and Songkhla province in South Thailand. 32 gunmen retreat to the 16th century Crew C Mosque, regarded by Muslims as the holiest mosque in Patani. The incident resulted in a personal conflict between Palop and Defense Minister Chavalik, who was also director of the ISOC. Palop later demanded that the defense minister cease any involvement in the management of the southern insurgency. As you can see, this is a Google picture of uh, crew C Moss that involved in the incident. Others high-profile incident is Tag Bite incident. It was very famous. On 25 October 2004, a demonstration of around 1,500 people gathered in front of a police station in Tag Bite to protest the detention of 6 men. Several hours into the protest, the crowd attempted to cross the police barrier into the station. Police responded with tear gas and water cannons, and the crowd responded by throwing rocks. Police fired into the air and then into the crowd at head high, killing 7. Almost 1,300 protesters were detained at the scene. They were ordered to strip to the waist, lie on their stomach, and crawl to nearby truck that would transport them to another side. Footage taken by journalists confirmed allegations that many protesters were kicked and beaten with sticks even after they complied with others to lie on the ground. The detainees were then stacked atop one another in truck and transported to the Inkayut army camp in Patani province. The drive took 5 hours, and by the time the truck arrived at the destination, 78 detainees had died from suffocation and organ collapse. In response, Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra expressed regret for the death, but he insisted there had been no wrongdoing by the military personnel. On 2nd November 2006, Prime Minister Suraya Chulanon gave a formal apology for Thaksin policy in the south, and 2 days later, the charge against the surviving protesters were dropped. The ASEAN Human Rights Commission called for prosecution, stating after 2 years the apology is welcome, but investigation and the prosecution is imperative. As you can see, this is the picture that damaged during the incident. So this is the reference that we refer to make our presentation. Thank you. Terima kasih. Kap kum kap.